a great America and also be inclusive.
Charles, what about you? You've been here for quite some time.
I've been here for quite some time, yes. It's sometimes difficult to say, but I've been here for over 30 years.
And how has it been like?
It's been wonderful. It's been wonderful. Every day I'm very appreciative of what our host country, the United States, has offered some of us. The opportunity to go to one of the best schools, the opportunity to work with one of the best companies or some of the best companies in the world. Now, as a management consultant, the opportunity to redress or fix companies that are sick. But unfortunately, as your report said earlier, we have about 3.3 million Africans, intellectuals in the United States. None has run for statewide office. We contribute significantly to the economic, political, and social development of the United States, but we do not have a voice on the table. And that is why I decided to run for United States Senate in our great state of Alabama to make sure that the issues that are important to us are discussed, we have a voice, and we're being heard. We go to some of the top schools with everybody else. We sometimes do better, but we stay in the background. What are we afraid of?
But you happen to be, from what I see, frankly, one of the top professionals in your area.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Again, as I mentioned before, I have a bachelor's in mechanical engineering, a master's in biomedical engineering, and an MBA from the University of Chicago. As you know, it's #1 business school, not only in the nation, but it's in the world. Then when I left there, I joined General Electric through their leadership program, where they go out and look for individuals that have strong leadership potentials, and then rotate them through different businesses.
So when you talk about General Electric, it reminds me a bit about my history, because I did my undergraduate at the State University of New York. Guess where? In Albany, upstate New York.
Oh my goodness.
General Electric is around the corner, isn't it?
Yes, we have a research center in Schenectady, New York.
Correct.
Actually, I worked at GE Silicones in Waterford, New York, which is just it's just a suburb of Albany, New York. But the point is, we are among. There was a report that came out about a year ago that showed that African-born immigrants are one of the highest educated in the United States. But if you look at the political structure of the United States, you see Asian Americans, Latino Americans, Muslim Americans, but you don't see a first-generation African or even a second-generation African. Why are we running away from leadership?
And what do you think is the answer, my friend? Is it about lack of organization, lack of a sense of purpose, community? Do we simply happen to be individuals, really?
Two things. We inherited that as a group. We have African culture doesn't give us that strength to learn how to work collectively as a group. Because you can look across what we do in the US. You rarely find someone from Uganda and someone from Cameroon come together and form a business. Even within, let's take Nigeria. Can you find someone from the north, an Hausa and an Igbo, come together and put something together? No way, that will never happen. We don't trust each other. If there's lack of trust, we cannot come together and form bigger things with economy of scale. Number two, we just haven't put together a structure where we look at ourselves as a critical force in the United States. We 3 million strong, we should have a voice. We should be on the table in decision making. But there is no African sitting on any of the top leadership positions in the United States. So the issues that are important to us can never be discussed. And guess what? If we are not on that table, you know who will be making those decisions for us? Donald Trump.
Now,
and if he makes those decisions, I don't think you and I or our children who like the decisions that Donald Trump will be making.
No.
So we need to get involved.
Now, given the education that you say we have had access to, and given the kind of unique exposure, really, as Africans that we have had in the diaspora, how come, then, we keep reflecting the dynamics back home?
Well, it's a recurring challenge. It's not only an African issue. It's called first generational challenges. People who are first generation For example, I'm first generation Cameroonian in the United States. I bleed for Cameroon. I bleed for Africa. I have an emotional connection to Africa. I want things to go right and well in Cameroon, although they are going in the opposite way. On the other hand, as a first generation, you recognize and appreciate the opportunities offered to you by your host nation, by your host country. And you feel morally obligated to contribute, to be part of it. But more importantly, and where I think the challenge is, and this is where the African continent is losing, because 1 out of every 3 Africans with a tertiary degree lives out of Africa. How about our children, or the children of those 1/3? They will grow in foreign lands and might have no relationship to Africa. And that is why the issue of dual nationality, dual citizenship is a big deal. But 1/3 of African nations don't even want to hear it, especially French Africa.
We'll come back to that later, but you keep referring to yourself as a first-generation African. What about people like, for example, the founding president of Nigeria, Dr. Azikiwe, Nnamdi Azikiwe? What about people like the founding president of Ghana, the Osajefo, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah? We're talking about these guys who came here before the Second World War. And guess what they did? They went back home and contributed to liberating their countries from colonialism.
Oh, absolutely. There's a clear difference between the two. So when I say first generation, this is a generation that came to the United States or went overseas, came to Europe and said they want to stay. They started taking citizenships of the country, of their host country. That's different from the Kwame Nkrumah, the Azikiwe's era. They were very Pan-Africanist, and when they finished their